CBC NewsNight. Prime Minister Mia Mottley shares her vision for improving trade in Barbados and the region. A national cleanup campaign being launched this week as part of an effort to address illegal dumping. Concern about the increasing number of applications to cut down mahogany trees. And in sports, Narayan's KKR advance to the IPL final.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening with the CBC NewsNight. I'm Wendy Burke. Barbados has created history, becoming the first country to ever stage the UNCTAD Global Supply Chain Forum. The four-day session, which is being hosted in collaboration with the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or UNCTAD, got underway this morning at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center. Several local, regional, and international dignitaries are attending, including Rebecca Greenspan, Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, and Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina J. Mohammed.
Just over 980 guests from 172 countries are in the island for the first UNCTAD Global Supply Chain Forum. Barbados' Prime Minister and UNCTAD President Mia Mottley has described the response as overwhelming. She shared her vision for improving trade here in the region. It involves developing the Bridgetown port to allow Barbados to become a trade hub for the South Caribbean.
It is the government's policy to be able to ensure that we beef up all of our logistics capacity and to be able to expand the Bridgetown port over the course of the next decade in order to give the countries of this hemisphere other opportunities in the event of the destruction that can be wrought within less than 24 hours of the infrastructure of our island states. We know that traditionally many go north, Jamaica and Bahamas and Miami, but that is sometimes the epicenter of the hurricane track, as we have come to learn, regrettably. That means, therefore, having the investment in resilience that you, Rebecca, have been speaking about, and that will allow us to work with other partners, be it Panama and others, to ensure that this region is not cut off from the multiple modes of production which more and more are to the east of the Americas.
The event is being held amid concerns about the movement of goods, given recent developments in the Red Sea and the Panama Canal. UNCTAD Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan has underscored the importance of the talks.
By February this year, traffic in the Red Sea and the Panama Canal was cut by half. I have just visited the Panama Canal, precisely to see with my own eyes what was happening. And they are really doing a great job in trying to take away the restriction and face the challenge. But you can see how climate change is really affecting the main roads of the world.
And Ms. Greenspan has made a case for a new approach to globalization.
These disruptions also meant that ships spend more days at sea, emitting 70% more greenhouse gases. But more fundamentally, they meant that our interconnected world became less reliable and far less certain. So, Your Excellencies, a greater, more fair, more sustainable, more inclusive story of globalization must start in the supply chains that we build to tell it.
There has also been a call for multilateralism to be embraced across the global landscape, given the rise of protectionism.
Last year, trade volume fell more than 1%. Compare that to the average growth rate of 2.5% since 2010. Meanwhile, we're witnessing a staggering surge in trade restrictions, with approximately 3,000 measures imposed, and that is almost 3 times the level since 2019. We're seeing geopolitical tensions that are fragmenting global trade. Since the war in Ukraine began, trade between rival blocs has lagged, growing up to 6% slower than trade between blocs themselves.
Discussions continue at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center tomorrow at 9 a.m. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
And there's been another positive development for Barbados. It is now the new global hub for small island developing states, SIDS. The Director General of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, Gerd Muller, and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Carrie Simmons, have signed an agreement to this effect. It comes just ahead of the 4th International UN SIDS Conference in Antigua. Prime Minister Mia Motley says the partnership will allow for the building out of new industries within the domestic markets.
We are committed in a world that requires us to become far more resilient than we have been, to be able to establish an ecosystem where that kind of industrial production can start again, and to recognize that if we see the world as our market, wherever it is possible for us to secure that market, then we offset the debilitating aspect of limited population size.
Already, UNIDO has named one of its officers, Stein Hansen, to lead the office in Barbados. He was previously posted in Barbados as the second in charge at the United Nations Development Program about 20 years ago. Meanwhile, Director General Muller says an agreement has been reached on some important sectors, not only for Barbados, but for all of SIDS.
We offer technology transfer, knowledge and research transfer, and concrete support in several sectors. This country has a lot of capacity, and a prime minister and a government, we start in a new future of cooperation.
Illegal dumping is still a major problem in Barbados, specifically around the landfill in gullies and cart roads. And in an effort to tackle it, the Ministry of Environment, through the Sanitation Service Authority, has launched a national cleanup campaign from May 24th to 26th. Minister of the Environment and National Beautification, Adrian Ford, says the government will no longer tolerate the illegal habit, and disposing of bulk waste should be the norm for all. He was speaking during the ministry's Clean and Green initiative of a park at Kendallwood's St. John.
I am saying to Barbadians, we have to come collectively, we have to put our sweat expenditure together in order to ensure that we have a clean, green and safe space. And I'm saying to Barbadians, illegal and illicit dumping of any material is something that must become a thing of the past if we are going to survive the existential threats that we face.
Additionally, Minister Ford urges Barbadians to do their part to combat illegal dumping.
Instead of taking up their cell phones and record persons at scene of accidents in the worst moments, and instead of putting things that would harm, hurt, and do malicious damage to people, to fellow citizens, to Barbadians, I want them to take pictures and videos of persons doing carrying out these illegal activities. We will do our parts in terms of putting cameras in a clandestine way, but I'm also appealing to citizens to get on board with this campaign of identifying those persons as well. This is what the cell phone should be used for. This is the importance of having cell phone and social media.
The Ministry of the Environment is worried about the increasing number of applications to cut down mahogany trees. To address the situation, it will soon be using a device called a resistograph to determine if removing them is the best option. Manager of the National Botanical Gardens and dendrologist Nigel Jones made the comments at one of 3 woodlots in Kendallwood, St. John.
The applications that I'm seeing for the removal of mahogany trees, a tree that is now naturalized, is native to Barbados, and I think we have to go on a rigid and a rigorous planting program where we have to collect pods from what we call plus trees or seed trees. We collect seeds from them, and then you propagate those species. The Soil Conservation Unit itself has a nursery, a forestry nursery for that, and I think that our duty now is to get now back to reforestating Barbados with mahoganies in specified areas.
Coming up, Barbados reaped success again at the Chelsea Flower Show. Minister of Home Affairs and Information, Wilfred Abrams, says he does not support measures to reassign a child's gender. He made the remarks during debate in the lower house on a resolution on the report of the Joint Select Committee on the Social Sector and the Environment on the Child Justice Bill.
The reassignment of genders of children, the deciding genders of children, anything gender augmentation, surgery, or whatever it is that you choose to imagine right now, let me say up front, it does not form any part of the Child Justice Bill. It does not form any part of the Child Protection Bill. It has never been discussed by the cabinet in which I sit, and I've been in the cabinet from the beginning. It has never been discussed, and it is not the contemplation of this government. I hope, sir, I have tried to be as unequivocal as I could be in my language.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for St. George North, Tony Moore, says people need to be careful of a number of things regarding the bill which has been passed in the lower house.
If we get in the minds of those people that we are trying to course correct or engage in course correction, that there is still a view out there that no matter what good is being done as an intervention is not good enough because there's a characterization of you as being the same yesterday as you are today, then the efforts, Mr. Speaker, the efforts of, or the well-meaning efforts can very well be undermined. I caution of the need for us to be aware of anarchists that will preach democracy, but when you study the actions that they're only aimed at promoting disorder in this country.
A challenge has been issued for Barbados to use 2 upcoming high-profile events to promote health messages to the public. It has come from Deputy Chairman of the NCD Commission of Barbados, Dr. Kenneth Connell. He says with all eyes expected to be on the country for the ICC World Cup and crop over, it presents an opportunity to engage an international audience.
Perhaps Barbados may serve as an example of how it used culture to transform health behavior in a culturally rich atmosphere like the season of emancipation. How will we do this? How will we show the world that you can have fun at cricket in a healthy way? Will we have screening available at these events? Will we have messaging trying to ask people to reduce the amount of alcohol they're consuming? Will we have bars which have water, making it available easily rather than having to do the long line to purchase a drink?
Dr. Connell was addressing a media and NCD health sensitization session hosted by the National NCD Commission. It brought together media professionals, medical practitioners, and other stakeholders. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Arthur Phillips says non-communicable diseases such as heart disease and diabetes continue to be the leading cause of sickness and death in Barbados. He has underscored the importance of an engaged and well-informed media in the prevention and control of NCD.
Whether we're speaking print, mobile, digital, social, broadcast channels, whatever the mode of engagement and dissemination is, there is a pivotal role because the media is able to engage and to shape public perception, to increase awareness, and ultimately to influence behaviors, and that's what we need. So accurate, responsible, and compelling media coverage can help to drive the changes that are needed to reduce the burden of NCDs.
Barbados has claimed another win at the Chelsea Flower Show in England. The Island's Horticultural Society took gold with its depiction, Landship Ahoy. President of the BHS, Jenny Weech, says work began last year.
We began planning this year's exhibit, Ahoy Barbados Landship 1864, from October last year. It depicted the Maypole dance with brightly colored ribbons with corresponding flowers and foliage. Also represented by the boat is the painful truths of the Middle Passage. We are delighted to have obtained the highest score of excellence in all 3 judging criteria. The team is beyond elated.
A minor earthquake was recorded to the south of Barbados last night. The Seismic Research Center of the University of the West Indies says the 3.9 quake was recorded at 15 minutes past 10. It was located 168 kilometers to the south of Bridgetown and 109 kilometers to the northeast of Tobago. The quake struck at a depth of 10 kilometers. A week ago, a 4.5 magnitude quake was recorded 114 kilometers northwest of Barbados. There's a suggestion greater emphasis needs to be placed on vocational education as more people move away from academia. Former Chief Building Officer at the Environmental Protection Department, Dr. Sylvan Catwell, says it is time more options are explored as the world of work continues to evolve. He was delivering the feature address of the 10th anniversary Thanksgiving service of the Caribbean Vocational Career Development Institute at the Church of God of Prophecy in Christchurch.
Our educational system in Barbados has too long retained a primary focus on academics. Greater scope needs to be given to providing career education and vocational development. The focus on academic education and its competitiveness is helpful to some degree. With the world becoming a confined space, opportunities are growing, and so it is vital that we explore more career options based on individual preferences.
Dr. Catwell, who is also a senior elder at the Ellerton Gospel Hall, explains the institute was established to teach skills including Spanish, French, cooking, and music. He says vocational skills contribute to a more rounded individual, leading to greater employability.
Career development education is of national significance as it reduces the need for government to bring in people from overseas and thus affords us the opportunity of providing more local jobs.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Time for sports now with Damien Bess. What can we expect tonight, Damien?
Yes, good evening to you, Wendy. The National Senior Games climaxed last night at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex with some exciting action on the track. Here's a look at some of the 50-meter sprints.
There they go then. Coming back.
Coming back.
Easy does it, Perry.
Through the line.
Through the lane. She still wants to run some more.
Off and running this time.
In the middle of the track, looking good. Who is that, Perry?
That's
running
with Aline, Bessie with Aline, and on her inside.
5-4, that is a very close thing to finish.
As they're off and running. And on the inside, lane number 1.
She's run away with this one.
Yeah, there they go off and running. Mitchell is looking good on the outside, on the inside as well in lane number 2. But remember, these are 2 different age categories. That's Kenroy Weeks to 70 age category going. And we see Anderson Seeley running away from it, looking back. A little bit of showboating by Anderson Seeley.
Oh my goodness, that was fun. And they're off and running. Let's look in the middle of the track. Oh my goodness.
On the outside.
Lane 2. Yeah.
Lane 2.
And lane 7.
I give it to lane 7. As there they go off the line.
So there they go. Yep.
And it is Mark Norville. He's showing them a clean pair of views, winning the 80 to 84 age group category. Victor Young, of course, winning the 85 to 89 category. Wales are 1 win away from another BFA Premier League title after they defeated Wotton FC at the Willie Turf in their latest fixture. Meantime, second place UWI Blackbirds were also in the winner's circle, beating Paradise. CBC's Anne Margaret Boyce reports.
Business end of the BFA Premier League at the Wildy Turf. We begin with Paradise in blue and yellow up against UWI Blackbirds. 11 minutes in, Paradise with the first real chance, and Jamal Watson Cummins is not going to miss from there. Dream start for the boys from Dover. That's 1-0. But UWI under pressure to stay on the toes of leaders' wheels in the title race. We're up for the challenge, and we're back on level terms in the 25th minute. Jerome Otterson wiggles through the traffic and drills low and hard into the bottom corner, all squared. Having snatched a goal back, the Blackbirds were flying now. Lovely build-up play, and the attack on the flank was flawless. Shamari Harewood left unattended in the box and says, "Thank you very much." UWI up 2-1 at the break. Second half now, and it was more of the same from the Blackbirds. The match turned on its head, and there was no surprise when this happened. Otterson driving into the box, and that is as clear as crystal. Stone cold penalty, and referee Jermaine Newsom whips out the yellow card. Caution. Rivaldo Messiah then stepped up and picked his spot, sending the keeper the wrong way from 12 yards, and that's all she wrote. UWI getting the job done with a 3-1 win over rivals Paradise. Main event now, reigning champions and leaders Weymouth Wheels in green battling against Wotton. Midway through the first half, Rashad Smith serves a delightful pass on a platter for Shaquille Stewart. Any bit of contact and it's into the back of the net. Routine stuff. Wheels draw first blood. But any idea of this being a walk in the park was out of the brain. 7 minutes later, Jamal Grisette with a right foot cannon. Kishmar Primus is beaten and Wotton are level. Wales, however, showed why they are classed as champions elect when Jaheim Nedlit got on the end of this cross from Akil Apowit and delivered a glancing header. Wales 2-1. Wales added one more 5 minutes from time for good measure. This is a front row seat to the Elijah Downey show. Rated E for everyone. Exquisite skill from the little magician, making the Wotton defenders disappear before slotting home easily as Wales move a step closer to the title with a 3-1 victory over Wotton. Anmar Goodrich Boys, CBC Sports.
The Business Report, brought to you by the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, a department of the Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment, supporting young entrepreneurs from idea to enterprise.
In tonight's business report, more Barbadians are developing a taste for Japanese cuisine, and one entrepreneur is poised to take advantage of it. Salome Valance has opened a sushi restaurant at the Haymans Market in St. Peter. The Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme client says Sushimi by Salome is her childhood dream. Trevor Thorpe reports.
The Crouching Tiger, the Alabama, and the Exotica are in high demand at Sushi by Salome. Ms. Balance tells the Business Report she's pleased with the response from the public. The Oriental food specialist says most people are curious about the food and want to try it.
Basically, sushi is just rice. We use a specific kind of rice, short grain rice. So when you cook it, it becomes sticky. Then we marinate it with sushi vinegar. I make the sushi vinegar myself from different ingredients that I put together. And then it's rolled in a nori wrap or a soya wrap, because some people don't like the taste of the nori wrap. It's a seaweed wrap. It has a very distinctive taste. And then we fill it with whatever veg and protein the person chooses.
The chef says she stays close to the rules of Oriental cooking, but understands the tastes of the Caribbean people and strikes a balance.
Well, I've tried to keep it as authentic as possible. But we do live in the Caribbean, so I do make sure that I cater to people who are accustomed to the Barbadian palate, the Caribbean palate, fully seasoned. Everything I do is seasoned. So it doesn't differ so much so as the authenticity of it. I just make sure that I season everything well, and I do put on a few menu items that are more Caribbean-like than Japanese-like.
She says her success has been achieved with assistance from the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, adding she's looking forward to the pop-up markets planned for the year.
Well, Yes has always been a big part of the business. I think they've been there for a very long time now. They've helped me maneuver through a lot of avenues that I've needed to get through to get the business up and running. They've sponsored me for different events throughout the year, and it's been a good ride with them. I think that, and I won't stop working with them. I'll always continue with them because they've helped me, so I can't leave them out. But they've definitely made sure that I had what I needed. The lady who deals with me, she always reaches out. She's always making sure to send me emails about what's going on, if there's anything I want to be a part of. So they've always been very hands-on.
The sushi chef expects her business to be one of the stops for the ICC T20 World Cup and beyond.
I encourage people that if you've not tried it before, definitely come here. If you have allergies, if you have dietary restrictions, I always work with people. I maneuver to suit so people can enjoy food. Because sometimes people have gluten allergies, they have shellfish allergies, they have allergies to dairy. They may be hesitant about trying food in general from places because they're not sure that it's prepared with love and care and detail to the fact that they're allergic to something. So I try my best to do that. I cater to everybody.
Sushimi by Salome has been able to establish itself in a niche market in Barbados through the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme. Trevor Thorpe for the Yes Business Report.
CIBC Caribbean is reporting success with the digital banking transition. CEO Mark St. Hill made the revelation at the bank's first Stars Award ceremony at the Wyndham Grand Sam Lords Castle.
In CIBC Caribbean in 2024, 94% of transactions across the bank are now done digitally. Personal and business banking, online and mobile transaction volumes have increased by 27% year-on-year. Corporate online banking transaction volumes have increased by 11% year-on-year. And over-the-counter transaction volumes have decreased by 23% year-on-year. Say it with me, folks. We are winning.
9 top achievers from Barbados and around the region received star awards and have been inducted in the CEO's Hall of Fame. And St. Hill has hailed them for their efforts.
The first star award winners that we are honoring this evening are our bank's best examples of what happens when you display a winning attitude. I hope you listen carefully to the citations that were read before each awardee came up on the stage. There's a common theme. Besides excellence, which is a given, it was mentioned that each one showed a commitment to teamwork, which is a feature of our corporate values.
Welcome back, Damien. What's in store for us in the second half of sports?
Well, we're going to start with this one, Wendy, and tell you that the Barbados blind team has returned home with a silver medal after competing in the goalball tournament in Trinidad and Tobago over the weekend. Barbados lost their opening game 8-1 against the USA, but redeemed themselves with 2 back-to-back victories over the hosts, 18-13 and then 21-13. However, in the battle for the gold medal in the final, Barbados lost once more against the Americans, 10-0. And finally, former Barbados Football Association President George Lascaris was laid to rest today after a ceremony at St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Cathedral. CBC's Margaret Boyce reports.
Members of the local football fraternity, players past and present, along with coaches and administrators, turned out in their numbers at the St. Patrick's Cathedral to bid farewell to former Barbados Football Association President George Lascaris. It was a fitting send-off for a man who transformed youth football on the island as the founder of the popular Barbados Cup. Delivering a short tribute, BFA President Randy Harris said Lascaris will be remembered as one of the island's leading football administrators who played an integral role in developing football at a junior level.
George literally hit the ground running, bringing a freshness to the management of football on the island. And one can say without fear of contradiction that he was instrumental in bringing an approach which created a modern and progressive era of administration of the local game.
His son Shea Lascaris reminisced on his father's love for the community and football.
He always had a focus on developing the sport and developing the youth in particular, and giving back to the community and giving kids the kind of opportunities that he would have had growing up, because he saw what sports had done for him and he wanted everyone else to have those same opportunities.
Lascaris, who was also a lecturer at the Barbados Community College, passed away earlier this month after a long battle with cancer. He also sat as a past board director of the National Sports Council. He leaves to mourn wife Margot Green and sons Shay and Luke Lascaris. May he rest in peace. And Mark Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Thanks for viewing. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.